What does it mean to be a true leader? To stand in the spotlight without letting it blind you. To give without ever asking for credit. And to remain true to who you are, even when the world tries to paint you otherwise. In an era when brand often outweighs authenticity and personal gain can overshadow team unity, Travis Hunter is writing a new chapter in the story of college athletics. One built not just on spectacular plays and historic wins, but on character, generosity, and quiet acts of selflessness that might never have come to light had others not finally spoken up. For the record, Travis Hunter, the Heisman winning athlete whose highlights you've seen electrify stadiums and dominate SportsCenter reels, took $0 from Colorado's NIL. Yes, you heard that correctly. Not a single dollar from a system that would have gladly funneled untold money his way. Instead, Travis quietly, unassumingly chose to fund his fellow players, somewhere between 10 to 15 teammates, out of his own pocket. No fanfare, no press release, no grandstanding for votes. During the Heisman campaign and the countless interviews that followed, not a single word of this generosity ever left his lips. Only after he'd won college football's most prestigious award. Only when his closest circle felt the truth deserved to be told did Deion Sanders Jr. let it slip on Matt McChesney's 0 to 60 podcast. This is who Travis is. In an industry where star athletes are sometimes advised to market every good deed, Travis refused. And while outsiders squabbled over his personal life, picking apart brief social media clips of his fiancée, Liana, and twisting them into tabloid fodder, Travis bore it all with a stoic dignity. He never stooped to defend himself with hollow words. He didn't need to. His actions, his unwavering loyalty, his silent support of teammates, and the way he handled those who targeted the people he loves, those actions spoke volumes. Think about it. When strangers came after his fiancée, mocking, insulting, belittling her for the sake of cheap attention, Travis stood up firm and unapologetic. He didn't beg for validation or engage in petty feuds. He simply let everyone know that he would defend what was his. That is true strength. That's an alpha holding his ground against a chorus of faceless, neutered incels barking for clout. He refused to be dragged down into the mud. Instead, he rose above it, showing young athletes everywhere what real manhood, real leadership, and real love looks like. Even as the noise hummed in the background, Travis and Liana took it upon themselves to buy Christmas gifts for multiple families. Real charity, real giving, done off camera in the cold, after hours spent signing and distributing hundreds of limited edition Heisman t-shirts and beanies for free. Let that sink in. A top athlete newly minted with one of the most esteemed honors in sports, out there in frigid Boulder temperatures, ensuring that his fans, supporters, and community members feel his appreciation. No press tour, no ESPN special, no strategically placed reporter, just love given freely, quietly. Ask yourself, isn't this exactly the kind of player the so-called haters and skeptics always claim they want? A man who plays in the bowl game when others might sit out to avoid injury. Travis is suiting up for the Alamo Bowl, not because he has to, because he wants to. A guy who puts his teammates first, a guy who invests in others rather than exploiting them, a guy who doesn't leverage his kindness for more fame or fortune, who doesn't treat generosity as a PR stunt. And yet, what do the critics seize upon? The fact that he admits to watching his own highlights. Somehow in their twisted logic, being honest about enjoying the fruits of his talent, admitting he admires the plays he worked so hard to create, nullifies all the good he's done. Why are we so eager to tear down those who don't follow unwritten, outdated rules of humility that serve no one but cynics? Why do they ignore the philanthropic actions, the humility of never trumpeting his financial sacrifices, or the heartfelt Heisman speech that moved thousands to tears? Maybe they're uncomfortable with someone who refuses to filter his truth. Maybe acknowledging Travis's sincerity requires them to confront their own insecurities. Maybe, as Sigmund Freud might whisper from the psychoanalytic shadows, it's easier for them to project their discomfort onto the hero than to examine the void in their own souls. So how do we break through the noise? How do we prevent the loudest, most ignorant voices from dominating our digital streets? By telling these stories fully, honestly, and repeatedly, by showing the youth who might only catch slivers of the hateful chatter, the full truth, that a man like Travis Hunter represents the very best of what sports and community can be. A man who thrives in authenticity, stands by his family, elevates his team, and never forgets those less fortunate. That's why we're talking about it now. Why we're weaving together the puzzle pieces from scattered interviews and offhand comments, shining a spotlight on what almost went unnoticed. It's not gossip. It's not sensationalism. This is a reminder that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear football pads and Colorado jerseys. Sometimes they quietly do the right thing and let their actions speak for themselves. By sharing these truths, we give credit where it's due, and we frame an example worth following. In a world hungry for authenticity, let Travis Hunter's story nourish us. Let it remind us that breaking unwritten rules of humility doesn't tarnish a legacy built on love, sacrifice, and strength. Let his honesty renew our faith in sports as a vehicle for positive change. And let his generosity set a new standard for what being a champion really means. This is on the record now. We've put the pieces together, and we're sharing it right now with you. May it inspire all of us, the fans, the youth, the entire community that admires Coach Prime and everyone in that Colorado locker room. Let's celebrate Travis Hunter, not just for what he does on the field, but for who he is off of it. Let's show the world the Travis that we know. The Travis who gives, loves, and leads fearlessly, generously, and always with an unwavering sense of self. It's Love and Liberty. We're here in Boulder, wishing all you guys much love, much liberty. Sko Buffs.